In the last video, we have seen like how to clone a repository to your local computer. So in this video, we shall be learning about some key terms related to the Git, such as working tree and the staging of files. Okay. So what is actually a working tree? But before that, we first of all need to understand the .git folder. So every GitHub or Git repository always contains a .git folder. Now this folder might not be visible to you. You may argue that like I can't see this .git folder. So .git folder is actually by default is hidden and not shown by ID or the GitHub website. Okay, so you will not find .git folder over here. Also, dot what does .git means? Like if you have your repository is having this .git folder, then what does that mean? It means simply that Git is present in your repository, or Git is in working condition with your repository. So you might say where I can see that where I can see my .git folder. So what you can do, you can just go to the project that we cloned. Okay, so by default, as I have already mentioned, it's hidden and not shown in the directory also. So for that, there is a shortcut in Mac. Okay, so it's Command Shift dot. So if you just press it, the hidden folders will appear. And maybe for the Linux it's Control H, and for the Windows you have to just right click and go to folder properties and folder option, and then you have to select the hidden files. So you can see .git is present. So what does this mean? This means that .git or the Git is actually working in this repository. So Git is present in this repository. Now from where this .git comes, as like we have already cloned this repository in our last video. So every repository from GitHub, if you clone, you will get a .git folder. So by default, it's hidden. Okay. Now coming back to our slides, there's a word of caution over here. Never manipulate the content of this folder. Okay, so you should not go to this folder and just enter it and see. Okay, as a beginner, of course. But maybe for as an advance also, you must not directly just manipulate the contents. Okay, so this will actually make it lose control and make give unexpected results. Okay, so you might mess up with the commit history and all that thing, and you might also lose your work locally. So that's why let that be as it is. Okay, don't do not just manipulate it. Okay, now moving to the next slide. Let's talk about the very basic terms that comes in the Git first, which is working tree. So what does this working tree means? Working tree means container, or some think of like a container or a box, okay, in which your code resides or your project resides. So let's say this is my project with some files. So what is working tree? Working tree is just you can say a boundary which encloses your project, okay, or your workspace maybe. Now there are two states in which the working tree can exist. Okay, so working tree again in terms of the Git. Okay, so working tree can be a clean and can be in dirty state. Okay, what does that mean? So clean state means you haven't changed any files and all the changes are up to date with the master, or all the changes are committed. Okay, so that there are no modification done by you. But as soon as you do a modification, maybe like changing the contents of a file, or adding some new files, or deleting a file, which will actually cause the working tree to become dirty. Okay, so the dirty over here signifies that you have introduced some changes, and it's not in sync with what you have cloned or what Git has recorded. Okay, so these are the some different changes. So that's why the Git says this is dirty. So when things are organized, we generally used to say it's clean up. Okay, take the example of your desk. Okay, if the things are properly or in their place, so then it means that your desk is clean. But as soon as you change the position of any object, it becomes dirty. Okay, so that's why Git has this term as dirty working tree if you have changed any file or something like that. Now, an obvious question arises, like how to check the status of this working tree, whether it's clean or dirty. So in the terminal, in the root directory of your project, okay, so that is must. If you I just open up the terminal and write git status, it will throw me an error like this is not a GitHub repository or something like that. Why? Because my current directory is not in the project. Okay, so first of all I have to navigate to my project. So if you remember, we created a YouTube projects folder, and we created a first project, so we shall go to the first project. So ls is just like list the directories. So first project, if I type, so now I am inside the first project directory. Now if I run git status, you can see now it's running. So there is no more like the git failure. So it's showing me some results. Okay, so we shall talk about these results in our later slides. So whenever like you have to check the working status, you just write the git status command, okay, in the terminal. So like that's the very basic of how to check the working tree. So we can also check it via maybe an IDE, that is VS Code or IntelliJ. Okay, so stage and staging concept is somewhat again related to the working tree state, that is clean or dirty. So before we jump on to this stage and staging, let's again come back to our git status command. So I was in again in my the project that we cloned in the last video. So that is the first project. So here if I run git status, so it will show me some output. So this output I have already copy pasted over here. So it says me like on branch main. Again, what is a branch we shall be learning in our next videos. Your branch is up to date with the origin main. So it says that if we just highlight over this term only, up to date, so like it says us that this your branch is up to date. Okay, that means that nothing to clean or nothing to commit, so the working tree is fully clean. Okay, what does this means? That this means that we haven't made any of the changes in our code base yet. Okay, so if you just this is the again project explorer. Okay, so here all the source code files are listed. So here we just directly cloned it from our GitHub repository. So it has only one file, as you can see, that is readme.md. So this file, because we haven't done any changes, so there is no modification. So that's why git it status shows us that the working tree is clean. Okay, now you can also check this git status command via the GitHub itself. Okay, so this was the terminal way of checking the status of the working tree. So here GitHub also has a very famous third option, that is source control. So if I just click on it, so you can see no changes are shown. Okay, so both ways are same, whether you see the changes over here or you see the changes over here. Okay, so some people prefer it via the terminal way and some people prefer it via the IDE way. So IDE way or the VS Code way is like more intuitive because it presents you changes in a very organized manner, while terminal is a little bit you can say not that user friendly. Okay, so sometimes you might not be able to cleanly see what has changed. So that's why I recommend you to learn the git or git commands or heavily by using this VS Code git features. Okay, so here like because nothing is there, so source code is clean, so source control is are clean. Okay, working tree is clean. So if you want to check it in the VS Code itself, like you do not want to open up a terminal, you just click on there here. Okay, so these button and you can just open up the terminal here. So I can write git status, again it says that nothing to commit, it's everything is clean. Okay, now coming back to our slides, if I edit a file, okay, great. So if I just edit a file, let's say this is my, I edit this readme only and I added something, this is my first project created by DIY group, DIY team, channel, I would say. Okay, so this means that I have modified this, so you can see this M symbol has appear and it also says modified. Okay, it has also become of the yellow color, and if I just go to the project, you can also see M sign has appeared, that is modified. Okay, so this, because this file is modified, so they if we go by the work, this staging concept, so or the working tree concept, so this means that if I had made any changes to the file, the working tree will become dirty. Okay, so this means that if I again run the git status command in terminal, it now must not say that my working tree is clean, it should show it as dirty. Okay, so here you can see it's showing some output. Okay, so it says that your branch is up to date, but these are the changes that are appearing and these are not staged. Okay, so I have better compiled this over here. So this line is something like we will be learning in our next videos, what is branching. Okay, the branch is up to date, again in our next video. Changes not staged for the commit. Now this line is important. Changes are not commit for staged for the commit. What is actually staged? Okay, and like what does it says, so these are the like changes. Okay, so this file has been modified, it says. If there is a new file created, so it would have said created some file. Okay, so it also supplies us some extra commands, helpful commands. So but here the main thing is that one of our file has changed. Now whenever I say I need to stage the changes, okay, or because you can see here it also says that changes are not staged. Okay, so staging the changes means that you just prepare the changes for the modification. Okay, or let git know that you have made this change. Okay, so till here the git doesn't know that you have changed this file. Okay, so even though like it prompts that this has changed, but these are not ready for the commit, or these are not ready for the final submission. Okay, only those changes will be included by which are in staged condition. Okay, so only those change will be included in the final submission when you are like submitting your work, which are in staged condition. Okay, unstaged changes will not be included. Okay, now why this stage option then exists, you can say like I want to every time submit all my changes. Okay, but that's not an actually a real world case. So and sometimes you might not want to include all the changed files. Okay, so you want to like keep let's submit the other change file at a later stage. Okay, so let's say you make changes in the 3 files, so you might want I should only supply 2 files only. Okay, not and third one I will supply in some future time. Okay, so why that's why this stage option is there in the git. So how to stage the changes, like how to let git know that I have made this change, you have to run this git add dot command. Okay, now what does this git add dot command means? This means that this will command will mark all the changes. Okay, this dot, if you see this carefully, this dot means that include all the changes. Okay, you can also include changes one by one. So if you just go back and see this helpful command, so it says that you just use git add file. Okay, because like if we want only one file, so I will add only one file to stage. Okay, if there are 2 files, then I would add 2 files over here. Okay, but by default we generally want to submit all our changes. Okay, so that's why we add a shortcut that is dot. This means that git will add all the changes, so the all the changes will be marked as staged, and they shall be are ready to be prepared for the commit. Okay, now I know this might have sound a little like abstract thing to you, so that's why let's get on to a demo. So here I shall be using the VS Code, and like terminal way is also there, but I prefer using the IDE. Okay, and I also recommend you to learn IDE way first. So here we were like, we have already edited our readme file with some text. Now if I just open up this source control tab, so here also you can see one has appeared. Okay, one number, this means that one file, one change has occurred. So which is, if I just click on it, you can see it says me one change and in this file that has occurred. Okay, so if I just tap on it or double click this file, so it will now show me again. You can see this working tree. So this is a working tree that I have added this text. Okay, and this dot also. So the plus sign means addition, minus sign means the subtraction. So because this is like the copy which is already on GitHub. Okay, this is the actual source code. We have added dot, that's why it's showing as plus and of green color. Okay, and created by DIY channel is also again in green color. So this is plus means that you have added the changes. Okay, now the left side is the actual code that is there on the GitHub or on your local computer. Okay, that was present when you have just cloned. But this right hand side is the code that you have changed, or like it's the latest code on your computer. Okay, and the latest code in our computer is this, that is created by DIY channel. So that's why this is coming. Okay, now git again, because you have changed the file, so git will track it. Okay, that this user has changed the file, so it will allow me an option to stage the files. Okay, so I can stage the file individually. So if you can see this helper function, so plus means stage changes, or I can do stage all the changes at once. So let's say if there were 10 files, instead of clicking one by one, I can just click on the plus button directly, and it will show me another tab, or you can say drop down, in which stage changes are occurring. Okay, so this file has moved from changes to stage changes. Okay, now let's say by mistake I made this change as staged. Okay, and I don't want to include it in the commit. So what I shall be doing, I shall be click on the unstaged changes. Okay, or unstage all changes. So if I just click on it, this change has come over here. Okay, so this now will not be included. So there is also an option to discard changes and they discard all changes, and I shall be talking about that. So here now I will include my changes. Okay, so if I just type git status now again, so you can see it's now of green color. Okay, so it's saying me that this is the changes that git is now tracking. Okay, that's why it's of green color. Previously it was of red color, if you remember. Okay, this was the old thing when we have not added changes for the staged. Okay, now git is tracking this change. Okay, that's why it says that changes to be committed. Okay, that is, git is now ready that I have to commit this change. Okay, now that's the again the VS code way. Okay, so if I again just revert back, like unstage all my changes and now type git status, so here because I have unstaged, okay, that's why git is again prompting me in red color that these are the changes which are not ready for the staged. Okay, or staging. So here like we just use the plus button and we stage all our changes, but the terminal way of doing this is git add dot. Okay, dot means that again all the changes will be included. So if I just add, press enter on it, so you can see this has file automatically move to the stage changes. Okay, so these two are always in sync. Okay, so if you make changes here, here also changes occur. If you make changes here, here also changes occur. And if in some like way this change doesn't occur, so you have a refresh button over here. So you just click on the refresh, it will reload and all the necessary changes will be done or are in sync. So now because these are now in stage, now if I again press the git status or type the git status, so it is now in green color and git is tracking it. Okay, so the idea of staging changes is to just prepare that change for the submission or for the commit. Okay, now you might be thinking why I'm using the word commit again and again. So commit is something that is our next topic video. Okay, so commit itself is something very interesting, like you will really appreciate after learning this, like how Git manages all this software distribution when you, especially when you are working in a team. Okay, so commit we shall be dealing in the next part, and also the branches we shall be dealing in the next video. Okay, so branches and commit work simultaneously somewhat. Okay, so that will be a very interesting video. So I hope that you have understood the basics of the working tree, and when it is clean and when it is dirty, and what is the staging of the changes. Okay, or staging changes. Okay, so if you have any issues, just let me know in the comment section below, and I recommend you to please like subscribe so as to motivate me to make new videos more. Okay, so thank you very much. Goodbye.